Good morning everybody, welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Hope you're all doing great. Welcome to this new video here on Ethereum. And we're going to do a full update. I mean, to be fair, not much has changed since my last video yesterday, and obviously that's normal. It's the weekend, volume is lower, volatility is lower, especially for a major like Ethereum. But there are some things I do want to talk about, and there's some interesting opportunities I think we need to talk about. What I said yesterday is that I thought it was most likely that we would, after getting that high volume drop back down into balance right here, which happens here, into the balance we have right here, right? So between the blue lines. And then after the breakdown below the POC, yesterday also the acceptance below the POC. I still think it's most likely we're going to drop down to the bottom of value, right? Bottom of value in this case is the value area low at 2470. But that's the value area low, as you can see historically. We have dropped down below that more often, and in this case I also think we will. Value area low, look, it's one of the best indicators to give you an idea of the strength of a coin. And sometimes it can also be a great support level in general, as you can see right here last Sunday. But very often it doesn't get respected precisely, right? It's a very bad area, in my opinion at least, to set an entry, but it depends on your strategy. And in this case, we also have some major support levels there with the 382 FIB, we have the 30-day rolling VWAP, we have the 200 EMA, and we have a naked POC, all a little bit scrambled between 2440 down to 2370, but ultimately I do think that general area, especially the POC right here at 2400, is going to be able to hold. Now obviously we ended last week with quite a lot of fundamental pressure and fundamental tension. Obviously if that continues, and if we have a very bearish opening for US equities pre-market, look, can we drop down below this? And that's also what the thumbnail is about. I think you should be ready at least for a bigger drop, right? It's been a while since I said this, but Ethereum has some major imbalances all the way down into 2100 and 2000, right? So ultimately, can we drop down into that? Yes, and if we fail to hold this level right here at 2400, we can drop down into levels like that very, very soon, or very quickly, right? So just briefly wanted to warn you for that, but ultimately, like, that is a possibility if the fundamentals are bearish enough, right? And then you also have to ask yourself the question, well, do you think that the fundamentals will be that bearish and that we'll see an equities opening which will push Ethereum much, much lower, something like we saw, for example, right here, the 3rd of February, when we also had tariffs news. And I think at this point of time, that's unlikely. Obviously, we ended last week with quite a lot of tension, but I don't think the tension is that bad that will drop down below support, right? Do I think we're going to drop down into support? Do I think we can spike down lower? Yes. However, I do expect us to hold that. I expect us to reclaim back into the value area low. I expect us to remain stable, and I expect us to get back up to the top of the balance as well. Fundamentals for Ethereum, by the way, especially looking at the DEX trading volume since the beginning of May, have been pretty good as well. And there's been I would say a significant increase since March, and there's also been some more stability like we had in January and February. So that goes hand in hand, I'd say, with this right here. So ultimately, that is fundamentally and technically what is most likely for Ethereum right now. And that's what I think you need to know. So at this point of time, even though, you know, technically there is a risk at a further pullback, and a pretty deep pullback as well, I would say fundamentally and technically it's not something I'd expect for now. But those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, have a great Sunday. Take care and bye.